Welcome in to Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on a beautiful Friday evening. Of course, tonight was Friday Night Lights there in Latrobe, where reportedly almost 14,000 people attended tonight's practice for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once again, Steelers Nation showing why this is the best fan base in the entire world. And today I've got my practice notes from a very eventful practice there in Latrobe tonight. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Of course, we'll have another practice report tomorrow, even though tomorrow and Sunday are my off days. The Steelers practice during those days, so we're going to get you practice reports for both of those days as well. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button, because whether I'm on my off day, whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm sick, usually sometimes that happens during the off season. I'm making sure I'm getting Steelers content to you guys every single day for free on this channel. So make sure you click that subscribe button for daily updates of Steelers training camp. All right, so today 14,000 people, or close to that number, was in attendance there in Latrobe. And I think that's got to be a record. Like, that is just so many people to pack into that little high school stadium. So Steelers Nation, once again, showing that this is the best fan base in the world. So shout out to Steelers Nation for really representing tonight. And it's definitely clear that this fan base is juiced for this season with all the new additions: Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith. It's really created a lot of buzz. Now, obviously, buzz doesn't really mean anything. You got to really execute on the field. That's what matters. But this fan base is certainly excited and juiced up for the start of the season, which of course we love to see. But we'll start here with some injury updates. There's certainly quite a few. Broderick Jones and Isaac Seumalo were both limited today. They both participated in individual drills, and Broderick did play a little bit in the team periods. He played during 7 shots today, but was held out for most of the team periods. But something I do want to talk about here at the top of today's show was Broderick was not competitive at all in the drills today. Where he was going up against Alex Highsmith in the one-on-ones, Nick Herbig, and he got dusted. I don't think he won a single rep tonight. And, in these drills, even without the pads, before he got that groin injury, he was taking a lot of really easy, non-competitive losses. And it's like, I get that Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig are really good players, guys. You're going to take your losses against them, but can we look a little bit more competitive against these guys? I mean, according to the people on the ground, Broderick lost 0-3 in the one-on-ones versus Alex Highsmith, and none of them were even close. Like, Alex Highsmith wiped the floor with him. And for somebody that you're expecting to protect Aaron Rodgers, a 41-year-old quarterback's blind side this year, you don't want to get dusted time and time again, because he's going to be going up against Myles Garrett on that side of the offensive line this year, and other top edge rushers as well. So, to hear about him and to see him in these clips and to see him in person when I was there, just completely get toasted by, good players, but he's going to be going up against good players. It's not what you want to see from your former first-round pick. That all I've heard about since, the time he got drafted and they put him over at right tackle, that once you put him over at left tackle, he's going to be magically so much better. To this point in camp, we just haven't seen that. And in fact, his 2 backups, Calvin Anderson and Dylan Cook, the 2 people that have been getting first-team reps while Broderick's been dealing with this groin injury, have looked better to this point in camp against the number 1 guys, the same guys we're talking about: Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig. The backups are looking better than what Broderick Jones has put out there to this point. And right now it seems like while Broderick's dealing with this injury, in the team periods, Calvin and Dylan, the 2 backup tackles, are alternating left tackle reps with the first team, which means that is a true competition at this point. So we'll see what happens with Broderick. I'm sure some people will make the excuse that he's dealing with a groin injury, and that's why he's losing so badly. But he was losing this badly even before the groin injury. So that's certainly a concern. Obviously, we hope that Broderick turns it around. Obviously, we hope Broderick has a really good season this year, and obviously, we hope Broderick becomes the franchise left tackle, because this team invested a lot in him. They invested a first-round pick, they traded up for him, and they gave up a 4th-round pick in order to make sure they could get him. So if he ends up just being a straight-up bust, that will be very disappointing, and it's going to put the Steelers in kind of a tough situation if Calvin Anderson and Dylan Cook aren't able to establish themselves as potential starting options for this team. We actually have a video on this channel, though, guys, breaking down the top Broderick Jones replacements. So go ahead and check that video out. I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description if you want to see the guys that the Steelers do have at their disposal outside of the building to replace Broderick Jones with. But yeah, just not a good start to camp for Broderick. Hopefully, as camp goes on and that groin injury gets better, we feel better about where he's at heading into the year. Also, Joey Porter Jr. Has a minor injury. He did not practice tonight. Now, Mike Tomlin does not sound worried about it. He says he'll get back out there to practice in the next couple days. I probably wouldn't expect him to be a full participant tomorrow anyways. He might participate in some drills. We'll see. Apparently, he was running around out there, so I'm not worried about JPJ at all. But he did not practice tonight, which means Jalen Ramsey played mostly on the outside tonight with Beanie Bishop Jr. getting first-team slot reps. When Darius Slay didn't practice with his veteran day last week, Brandon Echols was the guy that was working with the first team. Today it was Beanie Bishop Jr.'s turn to play in the slot with the first-team defense. Also, a couple guys that didn't participate too much in the team periods, or honestly the individual periods all that much, Cam Hayward and Keanu Benson. Now, Mike Tomlin said that those two guys are fine. He just wanted to give those guys some rest and give some other guys an opportunity to show what they could do during those periods. So Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, some more guys that did not do a whole lot today, but nothing to worry about with those two. But something that is a little bit more worrisome on the injury front is Cory Trice Jr., who did suffer a hamstring injury in today's practice. And, Omar Khan said it at the Combine, guys. Health is going to be so important for Cory Trice Jr. to prove that he can maintain, a healthy season, and he just hasn't been able to do that to this point. And now he has another hamstring injury. So we'll see, how serious it is, whether he can get back on the practice field pretty soon or whether this is going to limit what he can do for the rest of camp. And if that's the case, and this is another injury that's hampering him and he just can't, stay on the field, I think we can probably list Cory Trice Jr. as maybe a surprise cut candidate. If you just can't rely on a guy to stay on the field, no matter the circumstances, that's somebody that you might have to think about not giving a final roster spot to, especially if guys like Brandon Echols, Beanie Bishop Jr., James Pierre, some of these other guys that this team do like, Dante Kent, those guys are playing well and those guys deserve roster spots and they're staying healthy. That might be something to keep an eye on here with Cory Trice Jr. Obviously, you want Cory to make the team. You want him to have a really fruitful career because he's got some great physical traits. And honestly, he's played some good ball with this team and when he has been healthy, but he just can't stay healthy. And that's going to be something that might be a danger for his prospects of making this team this year. Then Calvin Anderson, one of the prospects to be the backup left tackle this year, apparently slipped during team periods today and has a lower body injury that is currently being evaluated, according to head coach Mike Tomlin. I'm guessing that's probably nothing serious, but we'll see what that is. If it is something that takes him out of practices here, Dylan Cook, it sounds like, will get quite a few first-team left tackle reps. And honestly, I would say Dylan Cook has probably looked the best out of the three with that first-team unit. Between Broderick Jones, Calvin Anderson, who this team gave a 2-year, $4 million contract to this offseason, and then Dylan Cook, right now, I would say Dylan Cook has probably played the best at that spot. So we'll see how that competition continues to develop throughout camp. But getting into the practice itself, 7 shots. The defense once again won today, so the defense is now winning the 7 shots series, so to speak, 4-2. But they won today's battle 4-3. Once again, Darius Slay had 2 pass breakups in 7 shots. He has been incredible the last 2 practices. He has had 4 pass breakups in this period alone in the last 2 practices. So really good 2-day stretch for Slay. Also, Caleb Johnson got stuffed by Derek Harmon and Peyton Wilson during 7 shots. Mason Rudolph threw a ball in the back of the end zone to Scotty Miller, who only got 1 foot in, not 2, so no touchdown. But then Caleb Johnson had probably the most impressive offensive rep during 7 shots, stiff-arming 2 people, including Cory Trice Jr., for a touchdown, so that was good to see from Caleb. And then Will Howard threw a touchdown to Kenneth Gainwell and then finished with another touchdown pass to a running back. I think it was Max Hurleman to finish out the period. So to have 3 straight scores to finish out 7 shots after 4 straight losses to start the period, it was a good finish for the offense, but the defense did come away with the win. Some other practice notes to go over. It was just a good day for Darius Slay. Once again in coverage, this guy has just been so consistent. He locked up Roman Wilson in the one-on-ones today, which obviously favor wide receivers. So that's not a good look for Roman Wilson, but that is a really good look for Darius Slay. Caleb Johnson really rising to the occasion, I would say, guys. A lot of times in these practices, you'll see Caleb Johnson make a mistake early, like maybe he'll fumble, but then later in the practice he'll cut off a couple of big runs. Today, that kind of rising to the occasion stuff came up in 7 shots, where on his first rep he got stuffed at the goal line, but then in his second rep he stiff arms 2 people to get a touchdown. And then in backs on backers today's first couple reps, really ugly whiffing versus Malik Harrison and Mark Robinson, and then Eddie Faulkner. The running backs coach talks to him a little bit, then he goes back out there and he has really competitive reps versus both Mark Robinson and Malik Harrison, and it got the entire crowd riled up, apparently. So Caleb is somebody that's been super competitive in this camp. He's had his up moments, he's had his down moments, but he seems like a competitor and a dog out there, which is what you want to see from your rookie running back. Also, the star of backs on backers today was actually tight end Darnell Washington. He was stonewalling guys like TJ Watt, guys like Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer. TJ Watt had a really menacing bull rush on him, and that was the only time an edge rusher actually beat him in a rep. But that's one of the best edge rushers in the world, and you needed a crazy rep from him in order to beat Darnell Washington. So really good stuff from DW today. He also had a nice catch in the team periods, a nice contested grab. So Darnell continues to show his strengths in this camp, and it looks like he's the best that he's ever looked as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I would also say the offensive line in general had their best day in pass protection versus the pass rush. I thought Dylan Cook looked good at left tackle. Calvin Anderson held his own. And of course, with Broderick Jones not in there during the team periods, he wasn't taking too many losses, of course. But the interior of the offensive line, Mason McCormick's had quietly a really good camp. Zach Frazier had a good day today. Spencer Anderson has kind of quietly had a good couple weeks of practice as well. So this offensive line is starting to gel. And you can tell that. And today, I think they had probably the best offensive pass protection that they had in any practice. Then another standout performance for Rock Taylor, the UDFA out of Memphis. He was cooking people in one-on-ones. I think he cooked James Pierre one-on-one for a touchdown in the one-on-ones today. And then he had another really nice completion during the team periods as well, another long completion. He's going to definitely be a name to watch out for during the preseason games, because he's such a big play threat. He tracks the ball really well. He can make nice contested catches. He can make back shoulder catches as well. So he has been a very, very great surprise and a really good player for this team with the third team unit, and even working in now some with the second team unit. So Rock Taylor is certainly somebody that's been a camp standout to this point. And then to finish practice today, there was kind of a tough 2-minute drill for both of the offensive units. The first team offense, there was a couple pass deflections. There's a penalty on defense, which kept the drive alive. But then fourth down, Aaron Rodgers threw a perfectly placed hole shot versus cover 2 to DK Metcalf. And, it wasn't perfectly placed on DK's body, but, he had to reach out a little bit for it. And it went off his fingers and it fell incomplete. And that's just a play there that DK needs to bring in a real game. He's getting paid, top 5 wide receiver money with this team. And, if there's a catchable ball out there, especially on a fourth down to move the chains in a 2-minute drill, he has to come down with that, especially if he's open. There was no defender in the area. It was a perfectly placed ball by Rodgers, and he couldn't bring it in. And, this is what the Steelers are paying him to do. I'm not worried about DK Metcalf. I'm just saying that those are the types of plays that he has to make, and he's getting paid to make here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In terms of the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, I think, has really found a little bit of a rhythm. Today there wasn't a whole lot of downfield shots or completions, I should say, down the field. There was a couple deep shots to DK that fell incomplete. There was a deep shot to Ben Skoranek that fell incomplete. But he's finding ways to make kind of big gains underneath. He hit DK on a drag route today that went for a big gain. He hit him on a slant that went for a first down. He hit Roman Wilson on an out route for a first down. For about 10 yards. Like, these intermediate shots, these kind of shorter type of completions with yak opportunities, these have kind of been the areas where Aaron Rodgers has been able to exploit the Steelers defense. And with Joey Porter Jr. not out there today, you could see that Rodgers, I would say, had a good day today, but he wasn't quite as good as he was yesterday, where it was a number of downfield shots to DK Metcalf and others. So, definitely another building block for Rodgers in this offense in the first team. But then the second team, Mason Rudolph had a lot of very impressive throws down the field today. He did throw an interception in the 2-minute drill, so that was kind of the throw that kind of put a damper on things to finish it. But he looked pretty darn good today in terms of reading out the defense, throwing the ball where it needed to go, and then throwing with pretty darn good accuracy. Mason's had a couple of days over this week where he has had some poor accuracy and some inconsistent accuracy. Today, he was able to really hone in and look good out there in Latrobe. And then Will Howard continues to look very solid. He had a really nice seam shot to J.J. Galbraith today where he layered that throw over a linebacker. He just continues to be impressive, and he continues to throw the ball down the field over these last two practices after being kind of conservative to start camp. And he takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't try to do too much, and he throws with pretty darn good touch. I like his throwing mechanics, and he's really setting a good foundation for himself. And I'm really excited to see what he looks like in these preseason games starting next Saturday. So that's kind of my breakdown of the practice here, guys. Maybe not the most exciting practice in the world. Yesterday's practice on Sunday morning was really, really eventful. Today, a little bit quieter with some more injury news type stuff. But overall, just another stepping stone, another building block here towards the 2025 NFL season. We're going to be breaking down every single practice here on Steelers Talk with in-depth practice reports, breaking down who's playing well, breaking down the trends of who's putting good days together, maybe who's struggling. I'm going to tell you guys the truth about this football team every single day, guys. If we're going to talk about Broderick Jones struggling, we're also going to talk about guys like Rock Taylor and Will Howard really having good camps, right? We're going to be talking about the good and the bad as I see it. So if you guys want, honest Steelers coverage on Steelers training camp, you guys want to know what's actually going on in Latrobe as we get ready for the 2025 season, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until tomorrow, guys, here we go, Steelers.